right. So thank you so much for attending today. We, as a part of our financial wellness speaker series, we are going to talk about an important point, which is disability insurance, and why don't we talk more about it? Today we are joined by three panelists from our insurance industry and bank insurance channel here in Gulf. My name is Anil. I work as agency director with MetLife, and I will be hosting this particular show in the interest of everyone. Today we are joined by Dr. Raed El Omari, executive consultant with MetLife Qatar Vision Agency. Dr. Raed has been a member of Million Dollar Roundtable Conference. Dr. Raed MetLife experience spans over 27 years, and in fact, in 2004, he earned his doctorate in business administration and was appointed as sales manager and unit manager of QVT agency in Qatar. Amongst his many achievements, Raed was selected for the EMEA qualifiers and was the regional winner of the annualized paid life premium. Welcome, Dr. Raed.
Thank you.
We have our second panelist is Salman Jawaid, Executive Director, Investment Solutions, Bank Assurance for First Abu Dhabi Bank, we call the FAB. Salman is an Ivy League University graduate. Salman carries over more than 14 years of global experience in product development, wealth management. In fact, Salman has developed and launched and managed numerous bank assurance, investments, assets, and liabilities products, leading multinational and regional banks around the world. Welcome, Salman, to the webinar. We are also joined by Rameshwaree Adnani. Rameshwaree is an advisor with MetLife agency here in Gulf. Rameshwaree has been helping our customers to identify financial goals and assisting them with customized plans with MetLife for over 5 years. With a portfolio of over 100 clients, she has built a close professional relationship with her customers, which results in constant recognition of her sales performance, and she's an expert in disability insurance. Welcome, Rameshwaree. All right, so when we look at the subject for our today's webinar series, this is about disability insurance and why don't we talk more about it. So it would be a wonderful session to understand views and experiences from our distinguished panelists. So I take this opportunity to start with the session which would help overall our customers and distribution partners, agents across MetLife Gulf. I would like to start with a small quote or a saying that I've gathered over my 20 years in the life insurance industry. So what really happens is that when we meet our clients, we see two sides of a client. Like one, a client who loves the family. So when we are talking to a breadwinner, the breadwinner loves the family. What the breadwinner does is he or she takes a life insurance protection. And then we also see another set of people. In addition to loving their family, they also love themselves. And that is where we see the importance of disability insurance coming into the picture. So if I love myself and I love my family, I need to have a life insurance and I need to have a disability insurance. So with that, I would like to start with Dr. Raed El Omari. The first point of discussion is that why should a person have a disability insurance? So in your opinion, why should a person have a disability insurance?
Well, first of all, I need to say something about the disability for the human beings when they had an accident or illness. Definitely their work will be stopped, or it will be a little bit, they will be in a sick leave or an accident, maybe for 2, 3, 10 days, weeks, maybe months, that's no. But before we go to that, I need to ask something, that why the people, they care more for the car and for the house more than their body, which is mean that some of the people, once he purchases a car, the first thing he's doing is immediately taking a coverage for the car, right? Because he's afraid that the car will get an accident. So based on that, definitely, if tomorrow he did an accident, the insurance company, they were gonna pay, right? Or at least they will cover. So the most important here that the body of the person who is making that money to purchase this car. This means that the disability is the source of income, or it's giving the source of income to the people when they are unable to work due to the illness or to the accident. So number one, to insure yourself before you insure your car or your house or your company or whatever. This is what I know about the disability and what I'm doing to give it to the people. This is what I'm living daily in the streets. Seeing that the patients in the hospitals or stopping the insurance from customers who are asking to make insurance, but unfortunately they are disabled now. So we cannot offer them an insurance or any kind of insurance. So that it's make a pain inside me that how these people, when they used to be wealthy, healthy, they are still in their youth and there they are still walking on their legs. Why they did not think about the insurance, whether it's the disability or else. But unfortunately, once the people they are suffering from an accident or illness, they start think about it. Unfortunately, yesterday night, one of my doctors, he called me, he told me, tell me, why now when I need to make this surgery, you told me, no, I cannot give you insurance. I say, because you are a sick person now. So definitely I cannot give you. So it means that let us search for the insurance before the disease search for us.
I think, well said, Dr. Raed. I think this is the 27 years experience, which comes into play as far as, trying to answer this most important question, that why should a person have disability insurance? That was a very, very, detailed explanation about why one should have it. Let's hear it from Salman. What are his views on why should a person have a disability insurance? Over to you, Salman.
I think, yes, hi, Anil, thank you. I think, Anil, the simple answer to that is if you have an income that you're dependent on and that you cannot risk to lose as a result of a disability, you need a coverage. So I think if you were to compare it to life insurance or any other kind of a coverage that you take because you don't want the unthinkable to happen, disability insurance is not any different. Obviously, if you will compare it to life insurance is inevitable because eventually, everyone at some point in their life will have this event. However, there is still, a bit of reluctance, or you can say the lack of acceptance that there is a chance or there is a possibility that before death, there is a possibility that you can have a disability as well. So it's a risk of you living with a disability that needs to be addressed. And obviously, you need to think about your loved ones, as well as yourself, because there will be expenses that you will incur, not only from the perspective of you suffering from that disability, but your family also depending on your income. So that income substitute needs to be there, and I think that's why the disability insurance is as important as life insurance.
That's very well put across, Salman. What we're trying to understand from what you said is that disability insurance is as important as the life insurance. It's not an option. It is a mandatory thing because you need to protect your income in case of death or disability. Thank you so much for the views. I think let's go back to the lady in the room, Rameshwaree. What's your view on the question?
As an advisor, Anil, when I meet the clients, when clients ask me this question that, why should I have a disability insurance? And I counter ask them that, give me a reason why you should not have a disability insurance. And this helps me probe my clients to think and evaluate how they can benefit from if they understand the why. And one of the most important assets we have is the ability to work and earn the income. And if you depend on a paycheck to cover your lifestyle or your livelihood, then the simple answer would be yes. So let's say what happens if the disability or your ability to work because of the disability is impacted, say temporarily or permanently. So one must understand that disability can occur due to sickness or accident, which can lead to financial turmoil or challenges. So to ensure a steady stream of income, it comes in as a backup plan or umbrella, a protection umbrella, as it covers up to 60 to 70% of your total earnings. So most of the time I have to reiterate to the clients that it is easier and less expensive to get disability insurance when you are young and healthy. That's how I would address it.
Thank you, Rameshwaree. I think the point what you're trying to say is that take it when you can have it. So the younger you are, you should take it. I think my next question is to Dr. Raed. I think Dr. Raed, in your experience, how much of an income one should keep aside as far as planning for disability insurance is concerned? So what's your view?
There is a lot of factors here, like the current age of the man or the woman or the boy or the girl who's asking to get the insurance, what's the kind of the job that he's doing, what is his age. So those usually are doing the normal work like the office, and they are below the age of, let's say, like maybe 45. Usually it's like 1 to 3% from their annual income. Because their job is easy, they are sitting on chairs or they are doing a soft and clean job. They are not facing the trouble daily. So that's why the cost of insurance, it will be usually like 1 to 3% from their annual income. This is the amount that they should get. But those, if you will go to the people who are more than, like, let's say, like above the 45, and they are in a medium risk work, so sometimes it might reach to maybe 4 or 7%, or it might be more. If we will go to the people who are doing the risky job, and their age also is more than 45 or maybe 50 years old, it might reach to 15% or 18% from their annual income. So we should start to plan from while we are young people doing the regular jobs, whether it's hard or soft, to take part of or a portion of our annual income, starting from 1 to 5%, whether it's for the disability or other kind of insurance. Then we add another 5% for our medium age. Then we add another 10%. So we will reach to 15% by, I'm sorry, by the age of 45 and 50. So at that age, we should have at least 15% to keep it always to the insurance. When we say that, how much for the disability insurance, how much percentage that we will take for the disability, it would be like a general question. So we should say the person is X age, doing X job, and he's a male or a female. Based on that, we can say that how much he should get. But it's supposed to be not less than 5 and not more than 15 to 20%. So this is the amount that always we should keep for our to keep the annual income in case if we lost our job due to illness or an accident or we get disabled.
Thank you, Doctor. I think what I understand from your discussion is that it's not a simple thumb rule. It will depend on various factors. It will be varying from customer to customer, and that's why this job is more special and more challenging to give the right advice to our clients. All right, thank you so much for your views. Let me shift focus back to Rameshwaree, since you are an expert in disability insurance. So we would like to understand from you, what are the different types of disability insurance available right now in the market? So what do you think that the options are?
Many people ask this question, what are the different types of disability? Because we have different types of critical illness mentioned, but not particularly disability stated. But disability can cause due to, as we've already known that it is can be through the accident or sickness, which can impact or force us to adapt to a new lifestyle change due to limitations that one can see. limitation that could be a commuting ability or a mobility or speech ability. So it can be a long-term impact. It can be a short-term impact depending on your own occupation. On own occupation, when I say is if you are a surgeon, you are an artist, you're an athlete, or a dentist, or any occupation which will impact the activities of your daily living. In insurance, we have partial disability coverages. We have total disability coverages. We also have workmanship compensation coverages, which most of the companies try to provide to their workforce. We have additional riders which can give weekly income, monthly income, lump sum compensation, depending on what the risk assessments that you calculate. There needs to be a clear understanding what it means to be disabled to avail the benefits under your policy. Most clients are wise to plan disability insurance in all possible scenario, and that simply helps them to pass on the unpredictable risks to the insurance company, and in return you ensure your steady flow or a constant flow of financial stability.
Thank you, Rameshwaree. So if I were your client, I can be assured that any risk that I think MetLife will protect. Is what my understanding correct?
Yes.
All right. So I think that's good way of looking at a disability insurance. Now let's go forward and let's ask Salman in terms of in personal financial planning, where do you place the disability insurance? I think Salman covered this in his initial intro in terms of the importance of that. But where do you personally place the disability insurance in a personal financial planning?
Yeah. Thanks, Anil. I think, as you correctly mentioned, what I mentioned initially, that if there is an income that you rely on, if there is an income that your family relies on, that income needs to be supplemented in case of an occurrence of a disability, with the insurer, with the policyholder. I think, as Rameshwaree has mentioned, there are two major types of disability insurance that you're looking at. So you have a long-term plan, and then you have a short-term disability. What is often overlooked is that people think of disability as a long-term disability, and they usually think that the likeliness of that occurring is quite low. However, if you look statistically, the likeliness of a policyholder incurring a short-term disability is even higher than a premature or unplanned or unexpected death. So and if you look at the statistics, more than 50% of the people who are age above 35 and before the age of 65 will have at least 90 days or longer disability in their life. So what we have to think about is that the probability of having a short-term or a medium-term disability is much higher than a long-term disability. So when you're doing your financial planning, I think you have to think from both the perspective of short-term and long-term. You may not need a short-term cover depending on how your financial situation is, depending on what kind of pool of money you have accumulated for a rainy day or for emergency funds. So if you have that kind of a pool in place, you can say that you are kind of self-insuring yourself, because that money is available to you to cater to your short-term needs. So let's say next 3 to 6 months in case of a disability. However, for long-term disability, you will need that coverage. So depending on the individual need, you can decide if you need both short-term and long-term, or you're looking for a long-term disability. And obviously, once you have reached that conclusion, is when you need to see what you can afford and what kind of lifestyle you need to have in case of such an incident, and that will help you determine the right plan for you.
All right. So what I understand is that, Salman, it's important to have, based on the probability of the event is far higher, the disability. I think that plays a very crucial role in deciding, how do we place this in a financial planning? At what level do we place it? So thank you so much for this. Let's go back to Dr. Raed. Dr. Raed, when we look at the developed countries, Okay, we have the insurance penetration far higher than what it is in our market right now. And when we specifically look at disability insurance, even much lower. But in the coming years, where do you see this trend developing to? Would it still remain the same, or you feel the insurance penetration would be higher in the coming years? What is your view?
Definitely that the awareness of the people about the insurance, whether it's a life or the disability accidents or a health or medical or whatever you want to mean it, it's increasing day after day. Now, if you look at to the countries, but we can say that it's a developed countries, it's by default that you will not get your car before you make insurance for the car. They will not register it without the insurance. But sometimes in our countries, they use not to do that. But nowadays, the people, they are more aware that what is the benefit of the insurance, how they can cover their life and their future, how to save their money by covering for the disability or the accident or the life, or even to invest it in a different way. So if you compare between the past and now and how the future is going to be for the insurance, definitely, and I'm sure that it will be much better in a million ways. If you look to the current pandemic, the people they studied and they learned a lot. How many persons he lost his life? How many persons lost his job? So the people now they are searching more and more. To be honest with you, in this year it was the best year for me ever. In this 20 years that I spent, or 25 years I spent in MetLife, because the people now they are even they used, if you go to talk to somebody about the insurance, they used to say, let me talk to you later. Just I'll find a chance for you to find a time, or I will check how much I can save for the insurance. Today the people they start to knock your door. Today the people they start to say to you that this kind of insurance I need, this kind I don't want. So they know what they want. And we just will be like a driver who will drive the car or the ship, who's carrying that passenger with him. So we just should tell the people that where to go, which the best kind of insurance that they should take, which is mean by end of the day. If we will support the community, we will support the insurance companies, we will teach the people a lot about the insurance, definitely the future will be much better than the before. Now in the Arab countries, or let's say about let's say the third world, or if we will talk about the undeveloped countries, to be honest with you, compare the market of the insurance, sometimes it's reached to the more and more than the countries which we think that is developed countries.
Thank you, Doctor. I think one thing is very clear after talking to Salman, Rameshwaree, and Dr. Raed. I think the penetration would definitely increase, because this is my feeling after hearing to your views about disability insurance and the passion and the knowledge level that we carry. I think the penetration will only increase as we progress. Thank you very much for that. And let me move on to Rameshwaree, since you are an expert here. I just wanted to understand, in the interest of the audience, you know, how do you differentiate between disability insurance, health insurance? I mean, there are a lot many options available, and as a client, it's difficult for me to differentiate. What's the difference between these?
Yes, Anil, there are a lot of options available in the market, and it's very difficult to make a decision. But in the recent years, if you can, if you know that health cards or health insurance have become mandatory in most of the countries. Here in UAE, we call it as the employee benefit plans, which most companies, utilize it for or provide it for their employees. The benefit under this plans depends on the table of benefits that the company prefers for their employees as per their allotted budget in the listed networks and hospitals and clinics. So when it comes to medical insurance or health cards, it purely works on the reimbursement basis. Which means that you are compensated, or your expenses are compensated till the time you are in the hospital or your hospital. Most clients have this similar kind of a setback when it comes to that. I already have a medical card. Why do I need a disability insurance? And this is where we lack to quantify is what about the after costs? What about the cost once you're out of the hospital? Who will take care of it? Because disability due to sickness or accident necessarily does not lead to death, as what Salman had said that before, that it does not lead to death, but it plays it definitely has an impact on our lifestyle, uh, uh, wherein I would say that uh, taking into account disability either can lead to a lot of setbacks in terms of financial setbacks, in terms of mental trauma. Now, the disability insurance in this case plays a very important role when it, as in because it takes care of the additional or monetary support for treatments and recoveries. It can take care of the expenses which are unforeseen, which is beyond the hospitalization. So on the second part, when you say do they are they on the similar lines? So I would not say not exactly, because they are important together, they complement together, and we need to have both as a part of our coverage.
Thank you. I think Rameshwaree, it's very clear now. They both coexist, both have their own relevance, and both are important. But from an income, I think what the more I discuss, I think it's all about replacing your income. I think that's what the disability insurance is trying to help all of us, including our clients. I think we touched on this point. I think in the beginning of the session, I think Dr. Raed touched base on how much of the annual income should be kept aside. But my question to all three of you is to understand your views on what should be the ideal insurance a person should have. When I mean to say ideal, is there a number that we can put to it? This is what and I would like to reach out to Salman first and understand his view about what's that number. Do I have a price tag in terms of having a disability and a life insurance, and is there a formula to it in your experience that we can calculate this?
Yeah, the formula is to take the maximum possible, right?
Okay.
Jokes apart. I think what often I have seen in this industry is that people underestimate the kind of or the amount of whether disability cover or any other cover they would require in case of such an event occurring. So what is important is not to underestimate what you would require. So for example, most people, when they would plan and would want to know how much they would need, they would just look at their current spending trend and they would think that this is the kind of trend that I need to continue in case something happens to me. So what gets missed out in that kind of a calculation is the unexpected expenses which are going to come in addition to your current spending trend. So let's take disability, for example. In case of a disability occurring, you have a high likeliness that you may end up losing your job. And in case you will end up losing your job, you will have a medical coverage being provided by your employer that you would also lose. So that would result in certain medical expenses, which you may, as of today, have a coverage for based on your employer's group medical life, but will not have that going forward. So that will be an additional expense that you need to take into account. Apart from that, you look at, depending on the disability, you may need certain changes in your life. Let's say, the disability may require renovation to the premises that you're living in. It may, you may have small children that are currently dependent on you, not just from a liveliness, from a earning point of view, but also from a let's say, to drive them around, to take them around, they are dependent on you. So you will need certain domestic help. So these are all calculations that you need to take into account when arriving at the right kind of a figure that you would need for disability insurance. And apart from that, of course, the future expenses that you're going to incur on your children, such as their education and their wedding and so on, all these things need to be taken into account. So obviously, there is no set figure that is applicable to everyone at their own needs, but these are the kind of things that need to be taken into consideration when arriving at a figure that you feel is right for you to have a coverage for.
Thank you, Salman. I think the eye to the detail is what I could understand from what you said, that you have to go into each and every details that is required for the family, for the self in arriving at the figure. Rameshwaree, the same question comes back to you. Is there, my point is that I'm trying to make it simplified for our viewers. Is there a recipe, is there a formula that you use in your experience to arrive at ideal disability insurance cover, or you prefer the Salman's view of going to the details and then arriving at from a customer to customer basis? What's your view?
In my opinion, there is no single objectively right answer for how much insurance you need or how little insurance you can get away with. Yes, it is correct. What Salman said is that a detailed financial planning will help the client to identify their insurance needs. We look at what they own, what they owe. We list out in the list of liabilities and assets, and we do gap analysis. A lot of conversation comes down to the current lifestyles, current liabilities, future goals. Again, the lifestyle may differ from person to person. It's a very individual based analysis. We also need to consider the present affordability to sustain, to pay the premiums year on year basis so that you keep your policy active. So these are all ongoing processes. This needs to be done on the intervals, on a regular intervals, I would rather say. In the situation of a disability, for instance, you yourself become an additional responsibility to your family, eventually an additional cost. So a systematic planning will help in formulating desired allotment for disability insurance, and you and your family can live a lifestyle that you desire to live.
I could not agree more than what you both have said, but I will also have to take viewpoints from Dr. Raed, to see in last 27 years, is Dr. Raed having a secret formula or a recipe to calculate this, or it's the same with Dr. Raed as well in identifying the figure that one needs to take disability insurance cover?
Yeah, there is. Nobody will success without a secret. If you look at that, any person on this earth, he has an income, and the risk factor is there always. So definitely, when you start talking with him about the disability insurance, definitely he will not know how much he needs and or which kind of disability insurance. We have the permanent disability, total disability. We have the short-term, long-term. We have the GIP programs. We have the riders. We have a lot of things, right? But how to calculate all these? How to calculate it? You will go to the doctor and you will tell him that I have a headache or I have a pain in my stomach or I have a backache or something like that or that back pain. So when you will start, put your finger on the pain of that customer, then he will know how much you need. But first of all, we need to add the monthly expenses that he's paying. And we need to also to add that how much income he's expecting that to receive if he gets disabled due to sickness or accident, and how much he needs a fixed income that if in case he gets disabled, because sometimes the insurance companies they will give a certain period, certain amount, or they might make a deductible. So definitely, the first thing that we should know how much is our annual income, divide it on 12, divide it on one that to be divided on 4 weeks. Now, in each week, since in Europe and USA, you will know that the people they work by hour, right? But here we are lucky that we are receiving salaries or we receive the commission maybe sometimes two times per month, right? So what we need there always then to let the patient who is under the stage of having that accident to be named as a patient. Today, he's a suspect patient for me. He's a suspect person. He will be disabled. But how to teach him which kind of insurance the best and the ideal is given? That number one, know how much is his yearly income divide it in 12, then divide it on 7, then to know how much is he spending money, adding to that one how much he's expecting to have, and let's say an income, and what is the difference between both of these. So we call it the simple tool is to estimate the income that you would need to maintain your current standard living, that you should become disabled and unable to work. This is what I used to say.
I think somewhere I could get that formula and recipe as well. So I think I thank all three of you from bottom of my heart. Today, what I have, what is visible here is almost 50 years of experience. If I combine all the experience into one place, and this would definitely help our viewers, in MetLife effort through this financial wellness speaker series in reaching out to our agency, our bank partners, our IFA partners to ensure that our clients get the right advice, right surveys, right products, and they exactly know what they should have. And our job is to ensure that our customers get the best in class. We thank our audience for watching the show, and we look forward for more webinars series in future. Thank you, and stay safe and take care. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
So
Thank you very much.